Welcome to Catastrophic Disclosure Live, the public's response to a government that tells its people you cannot legislate or vote your way out of this issue. These programs have been moved to private corporations, umbrella organizations, or stovepipe organizations within the sector. A lot of this was revealed in the recent days by one of the leading candidates for UFO Snowden 2023, Mr. Joshua Bertrand. And he's this aerogel expert and guy who's talking about this bismuth magnesium layered nanomaterials, some of the research that's been done into those. We've had some analysis on so far. Michael Perone, for example, and others. So there's a lot of controversy going on right now with what information we should go forward with, what information we shouldn't. But the government's not saying anything about any of this stuff. It's pretty wild, everything that's going on. I wanted to bring up some of that stuff from, because Josh there keeps sending me really great stuff here on UFO Twitter, or X as you call it now. By the way, did anybody see the what happened on X today with Alex Jones and Elon Musk? That was pretty fantastic, I must say. Where the heck was that? Right on Jack Poso, right? So check this out if you haven't seen it already. One more reason to get on Twitter and follow Alien at Alien_Scientist. This is unbelievable. But yeah, Alex Jones is back on Twitter, and he explains what happened with who was there. He has someone else who was there, and talks about what happened and why he was originally banned. And Jack Dorsey was the owner back when he was originally banned. And I just thought that was pretty funny. And I'm not going to play parts of it because I think it's copyrighted or whatever, but people can go there and check it out and listen to that town hall. It gets pretty good about middle of halfway through, and these people keep trying to ask the same questions. You can tell the mainstream media has like these call-in points, and they're trying to call in and make some kind of argument, but the argument for free speech is being heard much louder by so many people. And it's great that we have a freedom of speech platform like this. On the other hand, YouTube, we're calling out to the people at YouTube to really look into this a lot harder. I was one of the original channels on the old YouTube. This channel was created in 2008, and it's been around for quite a long time. So we're just calling on YouTube to stop the censorship, stop the shadow banning, stop the blacklisting of certain channels. There's certain channels that are promoted that are now mainstream, and the search engine algorithm blocks, because you can't even find stuff. You have to literally go to the Alien Scientist channel and search for certain topics in order to find find information on these things. And these are good historical videos to go back and go through. But if there's anything that people want me to talk about and go into in more detail, I'd be happy to go through the archive and get into some stuff. So just some shout out, some stuff. Yeah, he's back on Twitter, and he did an interview with Elon Musk. You have Elon Musk and Alex Jones talking directly. It was I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, so yeah, your mainstream media is not going to tell you about that. So yeah, definitely that's what we're here for, is the real news. So yeah, I should get on a whole bunch of these other platforms and stuff. I'm working on that, and I'm working on a lot of things trying to get some t-shirts ready and out by Christmas. Working on a couple different new designs, some different ideas for that. But I don't know if I'll be able to have them out by Christmas. I am taking orders for the Super Force shirts. So if you want one of those shirts, just send me an email and tell me what size you are, and I'll tell you how to send me the money to pay for that and stuff. But we're gonna get some other shirts up soon. But so far we only have the Super Force t-shirt just for right now. Yeah, that's cool, man. Hey, what's up, Mike? Mike Turber in the house. Renee Cruz, Anthony Williams, Complizart. What is up? Yeah, so we got an international community here who are dedicated for disclosure, and we want to talk about some history of the UFO phenomenon and sort of the whole history, because it's not necessarily the UFOs itself, right? It's the cover up that is important. The cover up often will get you caught. Most murder cases, they catch you because the cover up was sloppy, and not because they actually had the murder. But it's about the cover up. So I think if you're trying to expose a murderer and you know that people are murderers, you really need to focus on the cover up of these things. And this is not the Blue Book I'm talking about. I'm talking about Project Blue Book. And Project Blue Book was started after two other projects, which were Project Grudge and Project Sign. And, they were similar in nature, but they were, people on the staff complained with the first one that it was, set up to go nowhere and that it wasn't a serious project. And so they had to fight to set up a serious project that studied this stuff. Or semi, a professional one, whatever they could do with the technology that they had at the time. Of course, we know a lot more about sensor radar and invisibility cloaks and how to see through invisibility cloaks and stuff of that nature that they didn't really know back in that day, but we do know today. But this Project Blue Book was more or less a cover up, and it got to the point with this one hearing where J. Allen Hynek, the scientist in charge of the Air Force's investigation into UFOs, told the public at this hearing that this one case was probably ignited swamp gas. Like swamp gas, because that was his explanation for this glowing orb. And they laughed at it so hard, and it became like this, this mockery of that the official story and the official government, became a laughing stock at that point. And that was like the point where they lost the public opinion on UFOs. And after that, J. Allen Hynek kind of switched over a little bit. Here he is, talking with Jack Fillet, grandfather of ufology. And also he was in the movie Close Encounters of the Third Kind. So he did some, Hollywood outreach and stuff too. Spielberg was trying to get some word out a lot through his movies and stuff about disclosure and putting these ideas out into the public mindset. And so, that's obviously a weather balloon and swamp gas, right? So this became this whole big piece of this whole puzzle. And then this, sort of the UFO kind of thing died out. They had, some NASA studies in the 70s with, they had a couple different studies in the 70s on the one that started was, of course, what the heck is it called now? I can't. I'm trying to think of the project name to find it by. Who was this? No, I can't think of it. But anyways, yeah, balloon full of swamp gas came the explanations. Guys, you're watching UFO Disclosure live. We're trying to take open lines. If anyone wants to jump in and share information counter to the government narrative, there's been a couple UFO cases, in my opinion, that are my favorites. One was the Battle of Los Angeles. Always bugged me, right? Right in the height of World War II, there was this weather balloon or a Japanese drone, right? That floated over the Hollywood Hills, and they showed all the spotlights up at it. And they also brought all this anti-aircraft guns and 50 cals, and they fired everything that we had at this thing for hours, just firing at this thing. And all the bullets went right through it, or didn't penetrate it, weren't able to take it down or do anything. And it was, was it a meteorological balloon? So that's been the official story, is that it was a balloon, but this one is one that they just basically showed that hey, look, your bullets can't do anything, and we can invade your airspace and sit here and observe you, and there's nothing you can do about it. And it was what looked to me like a very, very peculiar case that would have at least scared the pants off me. Then there was the 1952 Washington, D.C. UFO incident. And that one has always been curious with, that these UFOs basically came down to the White House and showed themselves. And instead of, the U.S. government covered it up so that guys like Neil Tyson can say, oh, why don't they just come down and land on the White House lawn or show themselves? And, lots of interesting history that happened, and with their ability to cover things like that up in the 50s. People didn't have cell phones and social media. We have such a, when they come back, if they come back and show themselves again, it's all over, man. So that might happen by Christmas, for all we know. I really hope it does. That would be the best Christmas present ever, as if we could get confirmation or some kind of disclosure. But yeah, the government Blue Book panel. Then we didn't really have a UFO investigation. There were a number of companies, though, that were private entities that became interested in UFOs over the years and studied them. Bigelow Aerospace and Bob Bigelow is one example. So Bigelow Aerospace was, of course, founded in 1998, but Bob Bigelow, for at least a decade before that, was interested in secret aerospace technologies and Area 51 research, because in early 1990s, I think it was 91 or 1990, Bob Bigelow actually started a company called the Zeta Reticuli 2 project with Bob Lazar. And so Bob Lazar was this alleged whistleblower that came forward saying that he worked at Area 51 on reverse engineering flying saucers and was a senior staff physicist who was hired to replace two other physicists who cut into a reactor core, blowing both of them up and killing them. However, OSHA, clearly, 1979, I think it was put into effect. So all workplace fatalities would have had to have been reported within 48 hours, and there's absolutely no records. If you go on the OSHA website and look for that, you can't find anything about those two scientists that died. But it does sound suspiciously similar to the Demon Core incident with Louis Slotin and Harry Daghlian, two scientists that were killed when they accidentally dropped the the screwdriver slipped out that was separating the two beryllium half shells, and this demon core went supercritical and created a ton of radiation that burned everyone in the room and gave Louis Slotin a fatal dose. His hand was just completely burnt, but there were a number of scientists in the room that got dosed with radiation. But I think that it's really clear that Bob went to the Natural History Museum at Los Alamos and would have known this story. But it's interesting that he wove that piece into his whole overall story. Which, if you look up the whole history of this, I mean, John Lear tells the whole story in 1987, 2 years before Bob Lazar. He talks about a number of a couple key things. Yeah, so where's the disclosure at, man? Where's this disclosure at? George Knapp's getting old, man, and he looked like he was real bummed out at that UFO hearing. Let's go back to that UFO hearing. UFO hearing, George Knapp, and we'll see. I want to see the picture of them at the UFO hearing. So this was one of the few. Yeah, this is pretty crazy. George Knapp was all squished in between this guy, which is Ed Stanton. He looked a lot like James Clapper, but it actually wasn't James Clapper. It turned out to be a different guy. James Clapper, as you know, is the um, James Clapper was the guy who lied under oath in front of Congress. I want to open this. All right. Yeah. So here's the picture. I wish I could blow this up bigger, and it won't let me because it's a Mac. I don't know how to zoom in on a Mac. There's no, the plus button doesn't work. Yeah. Yeah. It's useless. Oh, crap. Anyways, yeah, I want to show you guys this picture of these guys, but I can't. But yeah, this guy, Ed Stanton, James Clapper is the one that lied under oath about the NSA spying program that caused Edward Snowden to come forward. So it's interesting that they had this guy that was a lookalike of him right next to George Knapp, who's, Mueller, who's the lawyer for David Grush. And it's not Mueller. What was his name? Miller? Mc, McCullough. That's his name, McCullough. And then of course Jeremy Corbell, who sat there for the most of the hearing, holding this pentagram sign, with his hands. He had his hands like this the whole time. Really weird. Showing that the disinformation CIA machine is still in charge of the UFO file. And why is this not working? Did I crash my stream by talking about that? All right. I don't know what's going on with the comments. I'm going to have to reload this. Come on. What is going on? Hey guys, they cut the stream or something happened. I had to restart my computer. It just wouldn't let me click on anything in the StreamYard window, and everything just froze up on me. Um, I had to restart my computer, and now I have to relog into everything. So just bear with me 1 second. Oh, and switch accounts, add an account, add this one. I gotta confirm. Give me 1 second, guys, to get this all loaded back up. Bear with me. Had to deal with a lot of crap. So yeah, Mac. It's I blame Mac. I don't blame the CIA, even though it just coincidentally occurred when I was talking about the CIA. But yeah, I gotta get another. I gotta get another computer and get this all set up right. So back where I was talking about, let's talk about John Lear for a second and the whole story with Bob Lazar and really kind of hash this one out completely. Um, because figure out the players involved in this whole scene here. So George Knapp was this reporter with KLS out in Las Vegas, and he had found this guy named John Lear and started putting John Lear on the air to talk about all his UFO research and whatnot. And John Lear's kind of, I mean, he was into some wacky, wild, far out shit. Um, you know, And this, if you were in the email chains or anyone who knew John Lear, I should get Dan Bankert on here to talk more about this. But John Lear's father, as we talked about in the if you followed 1, 2, and 3 of Catastrophic Disclosure Live, right? The Bahson Labs anti-gravity footage from the 50s, right? So this was 1956 to 1959 archival footage. And in that footage, you can see a number of scientists who worked on these programs, including, Bryce and Cecil Dewitt, as we pointed out, who were the University of North Carolina Chapel Hill scientists involved with that 1957 Chapel Hill conference that Richard Feynman attended under the pseudonym Mr. Smith. It was so top secret, and that was a whole conference to discuss theoretical gravity physics. And Joseph Weber was there, another scientist who Joseph Weber invented the Weber bars based on the sticky bead argument. Feynman's got the sticky bead argument from Bondi at that conference. So yeah, look up the sticky bead argument, and he got that whole sticky bead argument from Herman Bondi, who was also at that University of North Carolina that secret gravity conference in the 50s. So Joseph Weber was there. He's the guy that went to U.S. Naval Academy physicist, was invented the Weber bars, did all this gravitational wave detection, which led to, he was like one of the guys that started everything that led to LIGO. And he was his doctoral student was Robert Forward. And remember how I talked about the 1970s anti-gravity research programs for the government? Those were directed by Robert Forward, if you look into them. So it came out of these top secret programs. They were grandfathered down, and these are the names of the scientists who were involved in it. And thank you guys for the super chats, because it really helps with me to keep up with this research and to put all this information together for you. Disclosure like, oh God, Gary McKinnon, what is up, my dude? Good to see you here. This is the guy that hacked into NASA, the Pentagon, and DoD, and almost got extradited to the U.S. He was on trial for 20 years, got banned from the internet. The U.K. blocked him from being able to use the internet at all. And yeah, Gary, thank you for that support, man. That is, you didn't have to do that, man. You coming on my show for free was an honor enough, man. And your constant promotion of us on Twitter, and I appreciate that. Everyone who goes and shares around the alt propulsion and tells people, yo, there's real scientists working on this stuff, like check out what they're doing, check out the real history of this, because it does go into a lot of scientists, and this is a lot deeper than most people know about. So yeah, so this Tethers Unlimited company, they're a private aerospace company. Robert Hoyt, another interesting guy. Any of these scientists, the ones that they're usually connected to tangentially, are usually interesting guys doing, structureless antennas, DARPA and NASA research, lightweight, large aperture antenna reflectors, high gain antenna. Yeah, so this guy's doing some real. These guys are involved with some real stuff. And what was the name of the 1971 study? Outreach. That's what it was called. Why isn't it on here? It's not on. It's not even on his whole Wikipedia page. I wonder why. But Project Outgrowth. Sorry. Project Outgrowth. Okay. Yeah. So here's the Defense Military Information Center website, and you can go and look up and read this. 1970. Yeah, that's when it was. Not even 71. It was 1970. Edwards Air Force Base Air Rocket Propulsion League, and this was Robert Forward. Yeah. So all these guys are super connected. Back to this anti-gravity study with all these scientists that were working on this in the 50s in the secret group, which, as Dan Benkert pointed out on that last stream, that John Lear's dad shows up in this, and John Lear's dad was part of this whole group. But some of the things that John Lear's dad also did was spread a lot of, I guess, I don't know if John Lear's dad was involved in this. I'm not going to say that, but I know John Lear was a CIA pilot who turned into this guy that was, big Area 51 researcher that was going to spill all the beans on all this stuff involved. But everything, he gave some good information, but at the same time, he's like saying that we're working on aliens, and we're working on the reverse engineering this stuff, and he didn't talk about these 50s anti-gravity studies ever, if I recall. I don't ever remember him being interviewed or talking about his dad's involvement in this. But there's John Lear's dad with Professor Thomas Townsend Brown right behind him, walking into the lab, and right here in the video, the timestamp is 46 minutes and 40 seconds. If people want to bring that up and go check it out. So you guys are legends. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, ME, for the $2 super chat. Appreciate that. There's no call-in number, guys. You're watching UFO Catastrophic Disclosure Live. It can be anything, not just UFOs. We're looking for real people to join in. If you got a mic or a camera, you can jump in with that StreamYard link there, and join on in. I'd love to have you. But John Lear, his father's working here at the Anti-Gravity Research Labs doing this stuff, and then John Lear's the guy to come out with this Bob Lazar story. A year, 2 years before Bob Lazar comes out with the Bob Lazar story, he's telling George Knapp that there's a hangar out there with in the desert at a secret base with 11 UFOs inside. There are 11 craft. And then if you listen to the whole story, and I have this documented on Alien Scientists, if you go to look up Bob Lazar, this one, no, the Inconsistencies, it's called, I believe. Maybe I changed the name of that one. Yeah, this is the one right here. and I have a whole all the key clips documented in this, which you could maybe I should play some of these for people and go. But I encourage you to go give a listen to this if you want to know like some of the missing pieces of the Bob Lazar story. I'm sorry about the editing and the context. I put it all through. Could be a lot better than all that stuff, but basically, the alpha probes came. He talks about the alpha probes. John Lear mentions that Bob Lazar was fixing these alpha probes for Los Alamos, and we know that his job was to drive back and forth, with 100 of these things, and that's he was a contractor at the, right around the time he drove Knapp through there and seemed to know the place like a rabbit in his burrow. So he did some time, maybe less than a year, at the Meson Physics facility before being fired for using company tools to work on his own truck. He worked for a company called Kirkmeyer Corporation, and they did not hire physicists. They hired electronics engineers and staffers to wire up the place, and so that's there's controversy of whether he worked out at Area 51 for a short time. It's possible. Maybe Bob Lazar was brought out to Area 51 and shown things because they knew he was friends with John Lear. Because in here you can listen to the whole story of how John Lear met Bob Lazar, and it's funny because John Lear needed John Lear says that he needed an appraisal for his house, and so he had this guy Bob Lazar stopped by with this guy Gene Huff, and they offered to trade him an appraisal on his home for the Billy Meyer tapes and all his UFO stuff. They wanted all of John Lear's UFO stuff. So they somewhere along the lines that happened when they first met, and then sometime later, I got Bob had read all this UFO stuff and got all super interested in Area 51. Decided to apply for a job out there. Somehow made it past the background checks, because normally you need 8 months to get a background check to go work out at Area 51 or any of these government contracts programs and stuff. But Bob only worked got hired out there less than 2 months later. Brought out there, and it's kind of curious. He was brought out there in the winter time when a lot of the Area 51 employees say that the base closes for holiday around this time of year. Everyone goes home and they don't come back till January. So that's right around the time that Bob Lake was saying that he started there. So it's like they moved everybody out of Area 51 and then brought Bob in there to show him this whole thing, which they knew he was friends with John Lear, who was this big blabbermouth, son of a guy that kind of maybe was involved in tangentially in some of these programs and knew a little bit too much about certain things through his father. But I doubt that, it seems like the government wanted, it's like they knew Bob Lazar applied for that job fishing for information because he'd met John Lear and got the Billy Meyer tapes and was interested now in learning more about what the government was up to. And so did the government set him up Richard Doty style, bring him out to a fake hangar full of discs? Who knows? But one case or another, we have the Bob Lazar story, and the main core science of it for the last 30 years has been this element 115 stuff. And Bob Lazar, you have no trouble finding this information on YouTube. It comes right to the top of the search results when you search for it on YouTube. And as we know, a lot of the classified information that you really want to find or really look for doesn't always filter to the top, right? So if I type in Isaac Kemp, for example, it just basketball stuff comes up, and you'd have to probably scroll a really, really long time to get, you get the CIA stuff, but that's only because I've searched for this stuff, and it's stuff that's in my search history and stuff. It doesn't actually find the videos or the information that I want or that I'm looking for. Even if I type in a more specific search, nope, it's got the guy that was busted, the kid, the soldier, and the National Guardsman, Jack Texera, who leaked those documents on Discord. They have that, and that was, nonsense. That was pointless, right? So those documents didn't have to be. leaked, and that was just stupid, kid showing off to his geek friends on Discord that he was actually who he says he was, and it's like, you don't need to do that to these people. If you're who you say you are, don't worry about the haters, the people that don't realize who the heck you are. There's a lot of them out there. Just keep being you and keep pushing that forward. But this whole thing is nonsense. We're not talking about people doing leaks like that. We're talking about legal activity and someone who has information about the UFO file, information about NASA cover-ups, airbrushing at their facilities. If you hacked into NASA at all and know anything about that, maybe oh hey, how are you? Ladies and gentlemen, Gary McKinnon in the house. And thank you for jumping on. Just to show you this.
Pleasure, man.
This is live, and there's the StreamYard link. I'll post it again, guys. You can go ahead and jump up on here. And yeah, so the Bob Lazar story is interesting, but after the Bob Lazar story comes out and gets super famous in 1989, right? Bob Bigelow teams up with Bob Lazar and pays Bob Lazar to start this company with him, right? Called the Zeta Reticuli 2 Corporation, right? Zeta Reticuli 2 Corporation. Not a lot of people know about this, but yeah, we'll come up with Zeta Reticuli.
Interesting company name.
Interesting company name, and you know what? They started with $2 million. He gave Bob Lazar $2 million and hired him to go work at this company. I guess he paid for the construction of that particle accelerator that Bob shows off in the I don't know if you ever seen the Bob Lazar hydrogen car video.
Yeah,
he's got that particle accelerator. That was built by Bigelow, I believe. Anyone can correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, he says that the lithium hydride is regulated by the government because they don't want people getting free energy, and not because it's like super dangerous, and that if you get in an accident with a hydrogen car and rupture that tank, it's a super
bomb.
It's like a bomb. Yeah, it's super, and it's dangerous as hell. It's like to clean that stuff up, it's just nasty, and that you could, and then he says that he made it himself in a particle accelerator because he can't get it, and in order to make this in a particle accelerator, you're making one atom at a time per collision in a particle accelerator. So if in order to make a mole, which is a usable amount, you need 10 to the 23rd atoms, which 10 to the 23rd collisions. So that's quite a bit of energy and quite a bit of time that you'd have to spend running this thing to get a usable amount of lithium hydride to put in your car. But yeah, so some of the science that Bob's put forward just doesn't make sense. His whole thing with the element 115, which is weird, right? He said he had this piece of element 115, and then he gave it to George Knapp, and then George Knapp handed it over to Eric Davis. And do you know what the piece that he gave him ended up being? It was a piece of aerogel. And then Bob said, oh no, the aerogel was just used as packaging, and the element 115 was in there, and you guys must have lost it, or it must have got disappeared, or something happened to it. And it's, you ask any expert on aerogel whether it's useful for packaging, and it's not.
Not exactly tough.
It's not useful it's not good for packaging. It's you'd use styrofoam for packaging. That's what, I don't know. Anyways, yeah, the aerogel's cool, but and it's maybe the secret link to this UFO thing, as we've talked about. If you caught the last 3 nights of UFO disclosure, catastrophic disclosure live, so yeah, it's been a wild ride, and hey, thanks Bernie for jumping on, and now we're streaming live also on Bernie's channel. Yeah, so the Project Outgrowth 1970, this guy who's involved with that, these guys, it looks like a very select number of people who've been involved with these programs that have handed them down over the years. And yeah, Bob Forward headed up a lot of these projects. And then, we talk about Joseph Weber with the Weber bars, that LIGO and the gravitational wave detector. A lot of this stuff goes back to that. But yeah, the Zeta Reticuli 2 Corporation with Bob Bigelow, it's almost like Bob got tied up in this whole this business, and this was in 88. Now, I mean, 91 or 90 or something, right? So Bob Bigelow is interested in that, and then he finally decides that, you know what, I'm gonna start this company, and he's gonna try to work with the was it Harry Reid? Yeah, he's working with Harry Reid, the senator down there, to basically push these laws, which will bring more of these programs, and he hopes to bring this stuff to his state where his company, his new aerospace company, can pick up the contracts. Because he's already built this whole lab, which is to be used for analyzing UFO debris and all that. And I thought that it's just super super cool when you look into the whole history of that, because Bigelow tried to get his hands on this, and then Reed pushed this all through to try to force these programs out of the woodwork. And the way they did that is they created this OSAP program. And yeah, you can look up this Senator Reed. So Senator Reed worked with contractor Bigelow to create this whole OSAPS program to study the UAP phenomena. And then years later, the same group of people working with George Knapp, still friends with Bigelow, still putting him on these fake interviews where they ask him scripted questions and he gives scripted answers. And yeah, same thing. He's feeding it to Joe Rogan too, which is crazy, because Joe Rogan is not digging into any of this stuff or really asking the skeptics or any of the researchers to piece this all together for him. But these are the guys that took over ufology in 2018 with the TTSA group, right? So they came out, well, we got the government insiders, we got the guy who was the head of the whole program, right? Louis Elizondo.
Oh,
right?
yeah, very impressive.
Lou Elizondo was the guy, remember Lou Elizondo on GQ? They put him on the cover of GQ magazine.
I didn't know that.
Tried to make him the next, Austin Powers. Yeah, baby.
It's interesting that how many, regarding Bigelow and that, how many of these very rich guys are into mysteries, esoterics, UFOs, spirituality.
But then, yeah, it comes out he's into all that other stuff too, and they mix the programs with all that stuff too, because of Skinwalker Ranch, which Bigelow also owned. And yeah, so it's all come out that it's wrapped up in this one big mess of these same kind of characters and people that are pushing what I look at it is nothing but disinformation, because they're not talking about the scientists or the scientific work or the real legacy programs or the technologies that have come out of them, and some of them which are from this Star Wars SDI program, which are still suppressed today. So it's just
we're never going to get anything from government, military, contractors, corporations.
No, and the people that they put out in front of us, right? It turns out that they're just like these fake program. It's like the program that they created to try to get their own answers out of this stuff, and then they put this out as the real program to the public, which was really weird. And this counterintelligence guy in charge of it all, that's just the weirdest thing, is that why was Lou Elizondo picked to head that program? And then who was the quintessential theoretical physicist that I remember one of the early interviews, he claimed that the guy that brought him onto the program was a theoretical physicist. Well, where's that guy? Come on, Elizondo, like tell
he exists in theory.
One scientist's name is all I need to be able to go and look up a whole bunch of literature. And now it's a lot of that's the great thing about disclosure, is all you need is the contractor and a scientist, and then
one thread to follow.
That's it. Just pull the
Elizondo's like an untrustworthy car salesman.
Exactly. So it's been crazy ride for the last 5-6 years with To the Stars Academy. And dude, where's my spaceship? with Tom DeLonge. Well, here we are, and the Senate hearings were focused on a lot of rubbish.
Yep.
I
Pointless.
personally thought that I thought the Mexican hearings did better. In fact, Neil deGrasse Tyson said that as well. Like, he's, as a scientist, the Mexican hearings, the Mexican UFO hearings, and Jamie Maussan did better science than Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp did with their Element 115, and they didn't bring up any of that. They didn't bring Bob Lazar there. They didn't bring any science to the table. They brought trust me, bro, I got 45 friends that say this is real.
Yeah, all the eye candy, fake bullshit.
Right? I saw this thing, but I didn't really see it. Other people saw it, and they got the witnesses that they put out at the American hearing. I just thought of so many better people that I could have subpoenaed or could have put on a panel to present the case for UFOs and this all to the U.S. government, and I would have done a way better job. But as the scientists have spoken, the Jaime Maussan did a way better job because he actually brought physical evidence to the hearings. Who cares?
Didn't watch the Mexico hearings. He brought physical evidence. I was just the tiny body.
Right, these tiny bodies. So which a lot of people are arguing that they're just they're frauds. They're manufactured things with it. They took a llama skull and some chicken bones and pieced this thing together. Then they show the evolution of some of them. The earlier ones were much worse than the later ones. But it's if that's indeed where these things came from, that's yet to be seen, because there's still people trying to debate this. Apparently, there's still people put out stuff on Twitter and they're holding on to that these are real alien bodies and that they covered it up. But yeah, that's what the surprise. Yeah, Neil deGrasse Tyson had to say about it. He said they did a
wow.
Let's play the video. I'm gonna play this video because people are like they almost don't believe me that Neil said this, but he did.
Tonight, a 4.5 billion-year-old cosmic rock about to land back on Earth. This spacecraft, which you see there, is carrying a sample of rocks and dust from an asteroid named Bennu. And it's entering Earth's atmosphere at a velocity of 36 times the speed of sound. The sample is going to land in this desolate section of the Utah desert. That's important because Bennu overall is an asteroid the size of the Empire State Building. It has a real chance of smashing into Earth in 159 years. If that actually happens, it would hit Earth with the force of 22 atomic bombs. So NASA is hoping that this sample that they've obtained could help them figure out a way to prevent an impact and learn a lot more, obviously, about asteroids. Up front now, astrophysicist Neil deGrasse Tyson. He is the head of the Hayden Planetarium, the host of Star Talk, and he just wrote his latest book, To Infinity and Beyond, A Journey of Cosmic Discovery. So, Neil, I relish all of our conversations.
All right, I'm going to fast forward to the part where he's talking about the alien bodies.
Infinity and beyond.
This is right here.
Fire, the way it used to be. So a Mexican journalist displayed bodies of two supposed non-human beings in Mexico, in front of the Congress in Mexico. Okay, each with three-fingered hands and elongated heads. Now, before we all mock the video, right? It's gotten a lot of mocking. It looks a lot like ET. But as I said, NASA just announced for the first time a director of research on UFOs. So they are taking this overall topic more seriously. What's your take on this?
Well, first of all, I like what they did in Mexico. They had what they claimed are alien bodies, and they brought it out in front of their Congress. That's better than leaving them in a locked box and saying you and no one else can get to see them. So that's a start. But in science, a new truth, an objective truth, is only established when multiple labs can analyze whatever your claim is. When we brought rocks back from the moon, we distributed them to all the labs of the world. So everybody participated in that discovery. So here, bring out samples to others and let other people, skeptical people in other labs, test this. So either verify it or falsify it, and then we move on.
What was your reaction when you saw the images?
I was surprised because if they're from another planet, why do they look so human? They have two eyes, a nose, a mouth, shoulders, hips, femur, a rib. Why? Most life on Earth shares DNA in common with us. It looks nothing like us. So how could it somebody? So that was my first thought.
Yeah, right. You share 50% of your DNA with a banana.
It's actually a bit more than 50%. I think it's like 60 something bananas.
Right. Yeah. Something ridiculous. Something
How you
like
doing,
that.
Bernie?
And then even funny that Neil mentions the moon rocks, that multiple labs tested them because some of the ones that we had sent to the Dutch.
Yeah, I remember that.
They turned out to be petrified wood.
Wait. What?
Yeah,
I never heard of that.
Yeah,
imagine that we gave another country a fake moon rock as a gift. They're like, dude, what the heck? We got gypped.
Well, what are your thoughts on some of the AI programs now that they've run some of the NASA footage of the moon landings through, and they're claiming that that was now artificial, that the AI is saying that it's artificial?
I didn't know they'd done that. Wow.
I'd have to look at it and see it.
Out in the last few days.
I thought the argument that there was a big NASA debunker guy who used to debunk all the moon landing stuff. He worked at NASA for years. You remember that guy's name? The NASA moon landing expert.
Well, the only name I know for debunking NASA is Gary McKinnon, who went in
the whole
found building.
Yeah, I know, but dude, I really think we
Not
did.
the guy that made the film
moon,
A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Moon.
I think that we made it there. I don't buy the Van Allen radiation belt argument. You look at Van Allen, and he worked on the whole program that built the shielding for these modules.
And also that radiation belt is pretty much a ring, isn't it? It's not a sphere, so you can just bypass it.
So then the whole thing that this guy pointed out was the collimated light, that you need a light source 4 billion miles away, like the sun, in order to replicate it, because all the light's collimated.
So my theory on it is that we went to the moon, but they also recorded it before going there, and then any time that they encountered like UFOs or something like that, they switched over to the pre-recorded footage. And
that would be more difficult than a pure fake, surely.
But have you guys heard or seen both like the missing radio transmissions from the Apollo missions where they switched over to like the private line, as well as there's these supposed leaked videos of when they actually encountered these quote unquote bogeys?
Yeah, there's no proof of that. I think it was the medical line they used. There was no proof that those transmissions were, there was no history of provenance for what was available online.
The weirdest thing to me has always been the expressions and the reactions of those scientists.
Yes, when they got back.
When they first come back, right?
Yeah.
So,
they were like really sad.
Apollo 11's first press conference. Right. And these guys,
it's like they'd all just been beaten up. They were just.
It's like they all got their asses beat. And it was pretty wild, because like you'd think if you just came back from the moon, man, I'd be like,
I'd be stoked,
boss, like
running on adrenaline, right?
Yeah,
like I'm the fucking man. Like here, we're gonna show you guys what's up. But these guys are
like they're all on Valium.
It's like it's like they gave us drugs and they sat in a sort of room in quarantine for 48 hours and told us we can't tell the public any of this. Yeah. And so this is what we have to tell them. And or we're gonna get freaking thrown in jail for the rest of our lives, and
families killed,
and our families killed, and all kinds,
by the Earth, and at this relatively close. I haven't seen the post-flight analysis of the numbers. We had roughly half of our available oxygen supply remaining in the backpacks, and somewhat less.
But the best stuff's in the beginning. That's just so wordless.
Yeah, the opening up of like, and the way Armstrong just stares off into space like empty. It's so crazy.
Yeah, like the emotion and life just sucked right out of them.
Yep. And it was way past jet lag time.
Yeah, it's not like they were tired and jet lagged, or they had like rested for a while in quarantine before coming
Yeah.
out. So it's
And a famous astronomer from Britain, Sir Patrick Moore, asked him, what was it? What was it like seeing the stars from the moon? I think he asked them. And the answer was it was just dull, lifeless, like he hadn't seen anything.
right.
And they could have, I know that it's a highly reflective surface, and it could be hard to see stars with that beneath your feet, but there were times when they weren't on the reflective surface.
So that was our 70s, right? So we had throughout the 60s and 70s, they had this this fake space program that ran for the public, while a real space program ran behind the scenes. We know that much is true. Whether the moon landings are faked or not, I'm not going to take a position on that one. But I'm
Same here.
and I don't even really want to entertain it, because I think there's.
I believe we went.
I just think that there's so much. I went to the whole museum there where they showed off all the technology and stuff to the people that worked on it and everything. It doesn't seem like we could go back, but why haven't we gone back? That's the real question. I believe we went, but why haven't we gone back is the deeper.
And that quote of one of the NASA engineers saying that we no longer have the technology that we used. You know what?
They lost a lot of stuff. I mean, I used to think it was faked, but then I looked into it, and I discounted most of the reasons people say for saying it's fake.
Well,
even like looking up the batteries, the battery specifications and stuff like that, and how it would work on the moon, and the temperature changes, and a lot of the conspiracy is debunkable.
Yeah, I want to run a poll here in the and see what people have to say about that. That'd be nice. I gotta
Do you
figure
mind maybe bringing up and playing, if you can find these supposed the alternate radio transmissions of the Apollo missions? Because there's a couple that I've heard that supposedly are real, where there's like Armstrong or Buzz talking about these bogies following them or something.
Yeah, there's been a whole bunch of interviews. I wish that someone should do that. Someone should make a Buzz Aldrin compilation, because there's been a couple times when he's been pestered so much about it being fake, he's just basically said, "Yeah, it was all fake." He just flips out on the people. And he just loses his shit on them. But
Yeah, if you thought that was just meaningless accusation, you wouldn't flip out. You wouldn't have that emotional charge, would you?
Yeah, that's kind of weird, and because I know people that don't believe it, and they say something, they say other things, but again, let's I want to talk more about I guess we could show those if you have them to bring up, Bernie, then I guess we could play those, but
I'll try and find them quick.
But someone should do like the compilation of what is it called? Buzz Aldrin
Best moments.
Best moments. Right.
Did you see they did a second acoustic test on the moon, and they said it didn't ring hollow some years ago, possibly decades.
And then when he talked about the monolith or something, because it was,
that was interesting. I saw that bit.
People thought about that. That one came up too. The moon is not what you think. We lied for 55 years. What? This is 3 months ago? I must have missed this one. Come on now.
Light out there that's following us. So
oh yeah, I've seen this.
Unidentified flying object.
An Apollo astronaut, Buzz Aldrin, who's dedicated his life to exploring the moon, has made a shocking revelation about our celestial neighbor, the moon. His revelation stands to redefine everything we've ever known about the moon. Who is Buzz Aldrin? What did he discover? What made his discovery authentic? Put on your space boots as we embark on a voyage to unravel the hidden mysteries of the moon. We all know Buzz Aldrin. In case you don't, here's a little about him. Born on January 20th, 1930 in Montclair, New Jersey, Buzz Aldrin is an American astronaut who made history by being the second person to walk on the moon as part of the Apollo 11 mission in 1969, thanks to his colonel father, who played a big role in nurturing his interest in flight. Aldrin excelled academically and graduated with a Bachelor of Science degree in Mechanical Engineering from West Point in 1951. He did pretty well and graduated third in his class. After that, he became a pilot in the Air Force and flew in the Korean War. He was part of the 51st Fighter Winged SEAL, and he flew F-86 Sabre.
I'm gonna get nailed for playing too much of this, guys. This is no discovery, so I don't want to get the copyright strike on it. So
I posted one minute clip in the private chat that's supposedly of these radio transmissions. I'm just pulling up another one if you need it.
Thank you for becoming a member. I encourage other people who are interested in supporting this channel and the research that we do here to send super chats or consider becoming members. But definitely costs you nothing to smash that like button and the subscribe button. So please do that as well, because that helps us out a ton. I see a lot of new people here, a lot of returning people. So definitely come check us out. Oh, and even Dark Journalist is live now, it looks like, talking about NASA missions and all that stuff.
You're on Patreon, Jeremy, rather than giving YouTube a percentage.
Striking for its complete.
Am I on what?
Patreon or something else, rather than giving YouTube a percentage? Is there another way to more directly contribute?
I have Bitcoin wallets, so if you can ask for that, or you could do PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, that kind of stuff. So I do all those. If
we desperately need to create Patreon accounts. I also have been lacking on that.
Yeah, I had one before, and it was like they take a certain percentage too. And
Gary, I'm not sure if you're aware. If you want to, you're able to restream this to your own channel if you like. There's a button in the top right. Share with your audience if you want to. Just if you want to get some of your own content for your time, we do appreciate you joining us, good sir.
I appreciate you guys enormously.
All right, see if you guys can see my comments on Dark Journalist's video, because I was banned there for a little while. I think he might have hopefully he reinstated me. I think he did. I wrote him an email and apologized to him for I got banned by one of the moderators on the channel for there was an interview that he did about a month ago where it was an interview of himself, and it was this girl that was hired to do it, and everyone was just like, it was like super fake. Like he wrote the questions and gave them to her, and she was just this pretty face there to ask the questions. And everyone was commenting about it, and I just cracked a couple too many jokes about it and got myself banned. I just apologized to him for that. You know, I'm sorry. That's out of line. But you should do an awesome interview on Alien Scientist. I've been dying to sit down and talk to this dude. We finally got John Warner the Fourth to come on the other day. That was an epic interview. If people want to go, if haven't seen that. That was a fun interview, definitely. He's always awesome to watch on Dark Journalist and check out. So yeah, check out Dark Journalist if you guys are into the JFK and UFO file and a lot of those connections. He has a slightly different take on a lot of these things, but some of his information is really good and worth looking into. So definitely, and he's got a super big following too. It's like 2 or 3 grand, 10 times the people watching him live that I do here on this channel. So definitely go check that out if you haven't already. I know that would be an awesome discussion. I know. He's a good dude though, and you know, I'm glad that he reinstated my account, and because I was banned on there after that for a while, but it wasn't him, it was his mod, and I may have deserved it, so apologize for that. But sometimes we get a little carried away, right?
Oh, cool! It's working. It's live streaming on my channel too. Cool.
And you know, we get some people get carried away in the live chat here too, and that's all right, man. That's what we open it up for that sort of thing.
Yeah, human nature.
It's a fun time. So
I'll be back in a sec.
we can all laugh and make fun of human nature, right? And if you can't, you're not learning from it. So I'm glad that he has a sense of humor and was not, you know, didn't hold a grudge about that, because I didn't mean any of those comments personally. It was just, you know, more my way of nudging you into giving me an interview. Because anyways, yeah, that would be great, man. Dark journalist, respect for this dude's work. And I didn't mean to schedule my stream at the same time as yours
with national.
So apologize for that, brother. Definitely an awesome channel. What else is on right now? Bob Lazar on Truth Seekers live right now. Oh, Ashton Forbes is live right now. Still killing it.
For class.
Look at, he's got more people than watching him than we have over here.
Right, I know. Ashton's been doing some crazy work. It's tough to. I think it's still legit. Like there just seems to be harder and harder attempts to debunk, and then it seems that every second day they debunk the debunks. So I really don't know what to make of it. But
here's what I make of it, right? Is that we've come accustomed to this culture of cancel culture, right? That's what we have, is this cancel culture, that we have this culture that's like, oh, well, so and so investigated this and that's been debunked, and now we need to blacklist this person and never talk about this again. And I've been encouraged, you know, not to talk about this again, you know, and it's kind of like why I've been rolling my eyes when you bring it up randomly. And I'm like, all right, like, I guess we could talk about this, because I don't want to drive a wedge in the whole movement. We've got so much like potential going right now. We've got all these people behind the UAPDA, behind disclosure, behind catastrophic disclosure. And I don't want to drive a wedge in those people, because he's got more people following him than I have over here. And if I go and you know what I mean? I'm not going to be the one it's not up to me to say if it's real or fake or not. And it's not
exactly. We're just sharing a story.
The thing is, the government consistently and constantly avoids investigations and doing real investigations and opening committees on a whole variety of topics. It's not just MH370. And yes, there's money to investigate all these things. There was, you know, we had a couple $100 million that were investigated. Bill Clinton, you know, Monica Lewinsky's form there. You know, so there's
the blatant denial and misrepresentation from government officials that we put our trust in. It's almost so prolific now that you have to ask yourself, is this an intentional part of the training?
It's the oldest
where
story,
literally
right?
the denial acts as a catalyst to get us to look in all the wrong directions, because we think, well, something must be more interesting when somebody's not talking about it than what we really should be looking at, which is probably far more obvious and less able to be hidden. But maybe we just simply shouldn't be paying attention to that, because there's these mysteries that they can create endless rabbit holes for, that we can trudge down and give up our time with absolutely no hope in sight of ever reaching an end destination, since there never was one to begin with.
Yeah, everything's a lie. The people are a problem for the government. We're not the sort of root and branch that we should be. We're a problem to be managed. So they'll always lie to us.
Yeah, especially those of us who ask a lot of questions.
Yeah.
You stinkers looking in my garage, looking in my shed, trying to figure out one.
Don't go in the dark places.
But Jeremy, if it's up to you, but if you want back on your channel for the sake of, you know, just sharing the information, but I believe next Sunday I've got Ashton scheduled again, at least on my channels, as I do feel he should have the right to, you know, share his story and update the information.
Well, I haven't heard from him in a while since he was on my channel last, so I would love to jump on and cross the streams Ghostbusters style.
Absolutely. So I will confirm
Oh,
that
yeah.
with him then, and let him know that you're down for the part. And it's next Sunday, not this Sunday, but next Sunday.
And you folks in the back room, we see you. You're not being ignored. Just
Who are you
about a
discussing?
minute here.
Yeah, we see you guys. What's up? I'm gonna bring some more people on. Hopefully they don't drop anything too sensitive.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, how's it going?
Good. So I wanted to ask you guys if you ever heard of the whistleblower JP talking about he was allegedly a Space Force whistleblower that Michael Sala does an interview with him, and he talks about the ARC project. You ever hear of that?
I haven't. I never believe these ex-Space Force guys. I was a
Yeah,
super soldier
you know
on
what?
Mars.
Anything when Michael Sala touches is, I would just be
Gold.
very, very careful. He's very a few times he's done some interesting reporting and stuff, but
Right. But I can give you something even more interesting.
Propaganda with them, but there's like that 10 or 15% like real truth that somehow sneaks out through these. So could be one of those.
Yeah. Well, okay. Here's
can't find it.
Here's how this relates.
The private chat.
That story kind of relates to me. See, that story basically came out in 2021, and I've had this phenomenon follow me around since '92. So 2 years ago, 2021, I decided to just get a night vision camera and some equipment and start recording this stuff, because you can only tell us a story till people say, well, prove it.
Good call.
So back then I recorded this thing I called it Astro Train, right? Because it looked like a flying cargo train in the sky, and it had this giant rectangular light bar on the bottom with these black windows in it. And as this thing was moving through the clear sky, it was actually spraying out a fog or some kind of gas around the entire craft, okay, as it was traveling through the sky. So after I saw that, I drew a picture down, and I posted it on YouTube, and I was trying to see if I could find more of the same type thing. Well, little after that, I heard this story about JP and how he was talking about how they're unearthing these things and finding them all around the world, and how they're starting to turn on. And he was saying that this craft is non-human craft, and it's basically, they call it the ARC project because it's basically an arc where he states that it has a bunch of plants and seeds and all sorts of other life forms in it. He was talking about it has pods in there and all sorts of weird stuff. And it's basically to save humanity and life itself, right? So what I found interesting is that when he said that they started turning on is basically the same time I recorded it. I recorded the same thing. And ever since then, the past 2 years, they've been popping up all around the world. And I made a compilation video of this same craft that I recorded. It looks exactly the same in every recording, all around the world. And like this last summer here, one was recorded in China, and it was actually sitting in the sky, like not moving. And the people of China called it the sky train, because they said it looks like a train, that's just sitting there. They've actually had people try to chase this thing down with drones. And I've been trying to get the footage of this thing.
Is the spray
trying to get
is it glittery?
Yeah.
Is it glittery and shining?
What's that?
Is the spray glittery and shining?
No, the spray is like a gray color, but like I said, the lower half of this craft, it's got this bright light, like it's white, super bright, It's basically like to see the windows, I had to squint my eyes because it was so bright. But the weird thing is I captured it on 2 cameras, and the one night vision camera turns out to be this purple color, while the cell phone camera looks like a dull gray color, and it doesn't even match the color
Well,
what I
night vision
saw.
changes color, so that's understandable.
Do you happen to
Yeah,
have
so I've been.
videos accessible for us to load and play and share by chance?
Yeah, of course. Just go to sightings on 18 wheels. One of the first, I think, 3 or 4 videos that pop up, you'll see it says Astro Train with pictures on there. You might want to mute the sound or the volume though, but this craft, it basically was like it looked like a elongated upside down T, where the light, it was actually wider than the craft itself that was on top of the light. And then as it got right in front of me, I could physically see the spray being sprayed around the craft as it was traveling through the sky. And
How far
the
away
odd
do you
thing
think
was,
the location of the spray was from you?
yeah, like I said, I could see the color of the spray. It was gray going through the white light. The top of the craft had like a glow to it. It was almost like a bluish glow.
Did you investigate the
And
ground?
no, I don't even know how far it was away from me. I mean, it could have been 3 blocks away, or it could have been right outside our atmosphere. I don't know, but all I know is the thing was huge. But I know the same night I recorded it, somebody 25 minutes away from me recorded the same thing, and they had a pair of binoculars, and they happened to look almost underneath the thing, and they said it had these metallic orbs on the bottom of it. I think, no, that's not the video. I'm sorry. It should be labeled. Let's see. Let's go down. It should be labeled. It should say Astro Train. Maybe. Oh wait, go back up.
Use a search.
Right there, Astro Train of pictures. Yeah, just take the sound off. Yeah, I've been trying to contact you, Jeremy, for a while now about this thing, because I know a couple months ago you were talking about how about a craft, producing some sort of force field around it, and that's exactly what this looked like. It looked like it was like basically it was. I'm no scientist or anything, but it looked like it was using the light to lift the craft up from its smoke it was pumping out. Yeah, it'll come up right here. It'll show up. There it is, the pink thing there. But yeah, what I could see with my own eyes, though, how the spray was spraying out, it was kind of like a pressure washer. Like if you had a pressure washer and you were holding it in front of you and you were walking through the mist.
Nice catch, man.
The only difference with this was it was spraying to a point instead of being sprayed or fanned out.
Oh, there was no, so it wasn't tapered. It was a straight line.
Wow, that is super interesting, the way that thing just slowly drifts through the air.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if you play it in slow motion, you can actually see the fog go around it, like it's kind of tumbling around it.
Yeah, let's shoot back and take a look at that.
And
real quick.
this is the cell phone footage. Now you see how different it is between the cell phone camera and the night vision camera.
What was
And
the
what I
night
saw
vision
was,
hardware?
Yeah, it almost looks like a traveling wave at the surface now with the cell camera.
yeah, that's basically
Like
it was basically riding
not
its
quite frame
it was
synchronized
basically
traveling wave.
riding its it was riding its own wave, basically.
Yeah, it's really looking a lot kind of like that.
And you can see how it's fluttering right there. Now if
Yeah,
you
that
slow
could
it
be
down,
zooming in.
you can really
plus
see the
image quality.
Now the crazy thing is all the other ones I put in the compilation video, they all look the exact same as my cell phone footage right here. They all have the fluttering effect. And then one of the videos, you can actually see where the light bar is actually white, and you can see the black windows inside the light.
The fluttering
It's
effect
super
could be
crazy.
image artifacts. What was it like to the naked eye?
It was like a metallic,
Did it still have the
almost
fluttering?
it looked like a DeLorean, right? That sat outside for like 40 years. It was kind of blackened, stainless steel looking, and it had these
Like old
vertical black
Governmental.
lines.
And I can't
Yeah,
believe how
yeah.
continuous looking the night vision is. And so let's say this thing is, traveling wave, and we're looking at sort of, a frame difference in the low exposure time and lower light sensitivity for the cell cam footage, right? But we're looking at this other long exposure night vision. Well, the thing about the night vision cam is that it does an averaging function for all the photons hitting that high sensitivity screen that's looking
It
at a
depends on
longer
the
wavelength,
hardware,
right?
though. Is it light amplification or is it infrared? What was the hardware for night vision?
Right, light amplification, right? It's probably the V3. So what it basically means is that you have this thing called this ISO function, which
let's
is
ask
how
the guy
much light
what he was
you're
using.
amplifying in your digital side, and you also have the shutter speed, which is how long your shutter is open versus the total amount of time it takes to measure a frame. So if you measure 1/30th of a second at 30 frames per second, then you have 100% shutter. And
What
with
night vision hardware were you using?
Well,
then we'll actually know.
yeah, that's a good question.
I was using a Cyanix 720p color night vision camera, and then the camera was a Samsung.
Right, have to look up the specs of that.
What I'm trying to suggest here is, does it not look like that perhaps from the cell phone footage, it might be a pulsed type of drive that may be sequentially pulsed, whereas the night vision tends to average all of it together, and it looks like it's sort of a continuous glow, but it might not actually be a continuous glow. It could actually be pulse driven along, the linear sequential array.
Yeah.
From what I saw with my eyes, it was the light was continuously on. It never shut off the whole time I saw it. When I first saw the craft come in, it actually looked orange and red. It almost looked like a fireball coming in. But then as it got closer, it looked like it turned more grayish, whitish gray. And it looked like it was traveling in a fog cloud, basically.
Right. So no
as it got,
did it ever look like it was, blinking or flickering just a little bit? Or it was just a completely steady state looking light source?
Yeah, it was just a steady light. And that light, like I say, it was on the bottom of the thing. So in the cameras, it's hard to see the top half of the structure, but the structure was tall. It was totally vertical. There was no signs of, I didn't see any signs of propulsion at all, other than the light and the spray that was being sprayed around it.
It's a little strange, just the appearance of the recording from the cell phone from your Samsung there, where it doesn't seem to be quite as continuous, and you almost get the scrolling shutter-like effect, as if it's blinking at a frequency that's above what you can visibly see with your eyes.
Yeah, even when it wasn't zoomed in.
Yeah, and then there's another video I have on the channel too, where I wanted you to take a look at also, where it says UFO beaming a light down on the trees. Now that
like something good.
Yeah, that video there, we could not see the beam as we recorded the craft go by, or whatever the light was. It was upon review after the thing went by, we actually saw the camera picked up this thing was beaming the light down. It's really crazy. I don't even know how to explain it. I really don't. It's worth taking a look at, though.
That's what makes it interesting.
Right.
Like, what in the world moves that smoothly? Really?
And quiet. Like, it's totally quiet.
You know what? I really can't wait until these things just start showing up in mass and just occupying all the skies and where it's undeniable. I mean, there's been a meteor shower the past 3 nights. I've been out looking at stars the first meteor shower. So I saw tons of meteors, but I didn't see anything like that, man. That's wild.
Yeah. Now scroll up to, there's one more I want to show you. Scroll up towards the top.
Which you should be 2032. We're having a torrid megaswarm.
Okay, right there on the third one in. What does that say? I can't read it.
The Arrival Part
Oh
2.
no! Wait, no. Do the next one over. So the fourth one.
The Arrival Tim's
No, wait,
UFO.
that's not it either. Where is it? Oh, shoot. That's not the one. That's the first part of it.
Guys, you're watching Catastrophic Disclosure Live. I'm your host, Jeremy Riss, the alien scientist. We have Gary McKinnon, the NASA hacker, with us. We got Jeremiah Pop on, Bernie in the house.
Okay.
And
It's the
what's
one,
your name again?
the one
And where
labeled.
can we find you?
I'm Game Veto too. It's the one with. Okay, it's the one on the left there with it says Gabber Beast. Shows UFO and yeah, that one.
Or is that your name on Twitter too? Let's see if I can find you on there.
My name's Twitter. I'm sightings on 18 wheels.
Yeah, sorry, you guys got to keep on me in my Twitter inbox because it gets jammed up real quick. Guys, I got to
banned from Twitter.
Hey, thank you.
That's
We got
not
another $10 super chat in from Gunama. Thank you for all you do, Jeremy. I'm really curious if you've covered the Wilson Davis memo and Ike Shannon notes in the past and your thoughts about it. It's just a secondhand record of a conversation, right? That Wilson Davis memo. I mean, I personally was not super impressed with that as evidence of a reverse engineering program. I pointed out that the whole history of Battelle and Marconi Aerospace with the Marconi Aerospace scientist death conspiracy that still hasn't been resolved, and a number of other suspicious scientists like Robert Sarbacher and John Elroy Center and a number of other scientists who have come and spoke about these supposed reverse engineering programs and stuff in the past, including Philip Corso. So there's other claims of this that go into way more evidence and detail than the Wilson Davis memo and that supposed link to this thing, which just goes to Eric Davis. He's a guy that has worked on a lot of these programs. He wrote a lot of those defense intelligence reference documents, reports, and stuff for the U.S. Department of Defense and stuff. But he, as far as access to those programs, he might know some stuff. But
right
it'd
now
be awesome if it's true.
she said.
Right, it'd be awesome if it's true and if it's real. But you know what? I think there's other avenues that we could look into that would blow that out of the water, because we know that it's hidden under one of these umbrella organizations that's not accessible by FOIA. It's in a private corporation, private institute. Like this would be a perfect place to hide something like that. So we've pointed that out before. I say that I would much rather them. If I had to waste precious moments of Congress's time and telling them what to investigate in terms of finding legacy programs for UFO reverse engineering, I would tell them to look into Battelle and Marconi, and I wouldn't tell them to bother with the Wilson Davis memo, because where's that going to lead to Admiral Wilson, and all that stuff. You got to go after the contractors and the corporations that have been hiding this for 70 years and running this cover up.
Yep. Follow the money.
Man, there is so much to be desired when it comes down to tracking a comprehensive list of authority who had each of the samples that were originally credited with starting a lot of this research, to each of the individual scientists, the engineers who had come from what program, whether it was Battelle, whether it was Cambridge, whether it was from many of the other alternatives. But there is just this entire lack of history, and the fact that it's been so incredibly difficult to track it down, but we see this crap floating around in our skies. It's hard to believe that this many years after, we still don't have solid answers. They're really hanging on to that one.
Yep.
What fascinates me, Gary, is your testimony of finding that NASA image with the cylindrical craft, and that we just even looked at that SkyTrain essentially also looked like these cylindrical crafts, and like the cigar-shaped crafts and how they've been documented throughout history, and now all of a sudden there's zero talk about them in the official thing. It's just these Tic Tacs, which most likely are our own drones or whatnot, as opposed to these cylindrical and disc shaped, the two of them, and usually it's the disc shaped that are reported coming out of the cylindrical ones, that as motherships or something, but that they've been reported literally all the way back throughout, like time immemorial, pretty much.
Yeah,
and
that's
now
a really good point.
zero
A
conversation.
lot of the older sightings did include cigar-shaped craft, and they're far less common now. And the cigar-shaped craft were always much larger. Like,
At least with
motherships,
Tesla's
as I say.
missing documents, we actually do have a bit of the custody list. We know that it went to the Department of Alien Affairs, long before we had things like CIA or FBI thoroughly established. So at least we do know sort of what happened to that. We know that after that point, a lot of the files were paper files, at least in those crates. 2 to 3 were transferred right back to Croatia and then redistributed. So, and then there was still this third crate that came up missing 30 years later, and that had to be an entire act of God through, I guess, some of Trump's family members. So we do have a history of the custody for these documents, but we have far less information about what we have far more data points on, which are these crafts. How the technology came about, who developed it, where the funding went, why we are missing trillions of dollars in programs that have no accountability whatsoever still to this day, and regardless of how much we look into it, we still can't find answers. It just seems crazy.
And the government investigates itself and finds that, no, we don't know what's going on, and we have no idea. It's just a continuous circle jerk on the American public at our expense. So it's terrible what's going on, guys. Hey, guess what? It's getting late here for me, so I gotta dip out and end this stream on my end. Bernie, if you want to keep this going,
Yeah, sure. Gary, Jeremiah, if you guys got one
Yeah, we've got Gary in the background. Been waiting to be patiently let in for a while. So.
Oh yeah. Lose one, Jeremy.
Hey.
How's it going, Jeremy?
It is going well. It's been a great stream. It's so.
Dude, you look like a total freaking agent with those glasses. I swear.
I know. I was going for a bit of a Neo look, but I realized I've got the flip side a bit of an agent.
Oh, you pulled off the Neo look. I'd say that.
Yeah, I didn't get fully decked out, but I try. But hey,
well, if Jeremy's right, then talking about these things is rather catastrophic for their side, at least, and for the rest of us, it's just something that we've been talking about for decades now. So
right. Except when they decide to kill your family and friends, and then it's a bit of a stick in the chest. But hey, I've got a question for you, Gary. Why is it that the anonymous hackers would wear Guy Fawkes masks? And I'm not talking about the symbolism with Guy Fawkes. I'm talking about why would they wear a mask to use the computer? Now, I know what I think, but I'd like to know what you think.
I don't think they wear them while they're doing their work, if that's what you mean.
You don't think that they use it when they just use the computers on the regular? It's just in webcam sessions?
Why do that when you're in your own place?
Right.
I'm pretty sure a piece of electrical tape is probably a lot easier than putting on a mask.
Certainly. Well, but I guess if you think about it like this, the television, since I think the 60s or 70s, there has been a camera in the back of the television tube